Hey everyone, Onepeg here. Good morning. Hope you guys are having a fantastic, what is today? Thursday? Today? Oh man, I don't even know what day it is. Anyway, now that we've gotten through all of the podcast stuff and the patch notes and the leaks and all of the other fun things that Nikita had to share with us, like these amazing memes.
It will be something long and hard.
A few days back, for those of you that managed to watch more than 3 minutes at a time of this channel, I did a video where we talked about some shotgun buffs and how maybe those shotgun buffs weren't all that great. And it turns out that there's another reason why. You see, it's not just the accuracy stat that determines how accurate a shotgun is. Well, in the sense of buckshot and flechette rounds, basically the multiple projectile shells, I guess. There's a secondary stat that is actually tied to different barrels of shotguns. And this stat is what is called center of impact. Now, the center of impact stat is not something that is included on the stat sheet for any of the shotguns at all. In fact, it's hidden away. But it does have an effect on the clustering of the pellets that are shot out of a shotgun. And I'll explain a little bit better what I mean. So let's say this slightly used plate featuring a beautiful pink unicorn and rainbow is the accuracy stat, the MOA rating for any of the chassis of guns that you could use. Let's say that this is the MOA of a 153 shotgun. From there, depending on the barrel, let's say that the center of impact of that barrel that you have on the 153 is like 1. Let's say it's just 1. And this coaster represents that cluster of pellets. So the center, where the K is on this beautiful word of golf, happens to be the pellet spread. Now, this pellet spread, the center of which is the center of impact, and then that variable, that 1, is how far away from the center of impact those pellets could spread, right? So anywhere on this plate is where those pellets could be. Now, if the center of that happens to be on the edge, you can notice that the pellet spread itself could end up just outside of the plate, right? So the smaller this number, the tighter the cluster of pellets. And that's what BSG has been toying with as of late. By comparison, then, if we had one that was, say, 0.1, you can see how much tighter of a cluster of pellets we have. Now, this would probably be more akin to that of, like, a slug. But as we know, slugs don't necessarily have to worry about this stat because it's only one projectile. So why does all of this matter? Well, like I said, this stat is something that is hidden away from our view. But that doesn't mean that we can't see when it gets modified. At least for the purpose of the 870, a lot of this was just buffed by a considerable amount. And just for your point of reference, the most accurate barrel in the game right now is the 750 millimeter barrel for the 153. However, as it turns out, it still does not seem to be as accurate as the Saiga because of the size of the cone of accuracy for the gun itself. So even though the clustering of something like the Saiga isn't as accurate as the clustering for the 153, the cone of accuracy, the MOA accuracy of the Saiga being that much better, still ends up putting more pellets inside of where it is that you're trying to shoot. So they kind of work together, but it's a little bit confusing. Go figure. Tarkov. Am I right?
Okay.
Anyway, the changes for the 870, the buffs that were received, are as follows. For the 508 millimeter barrel for the 870, the old value was 1.2. It is now almost half at 0.7. The cutoff, the short nose 325 millimeter barrel, was 1.85, and now it's 1.1. The 660 millimeter barrel, the long barrel for the 870, ended up getting the biggest buff that used to be 0.86 and is now 0.32, which is a very considerable, more than double of an improvement there. The 508mm barrel went from 1.3 to 0.55, and the 355mm barrel went from 1.75 to 1. Personal preference, I don't think that this is enough. It's good to see that they're trying to shrink that up, especially in the case of the 870, which tended to be horribly inaccurate for whatever reason. And I realize that pellet spreads are what they are, and it can be horribly inaccurate, and more can be accurate than others, and blah, 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 blah. But this is a step in the right direction. I think it still needs more love, but it's good to see that they're actually working in this direction. So try and pull out the 870 if you feel like using a pump shotty. The way that this looks is it's more accurate than a 133, depending on the barrel that you're using, and maybe it'll surprise you. What I can say is that flechettes are super duper fun right now. So you definitely should get out there and shred some armor with those things because they're really, really fun. Anyway, that's what I have for you today, guys. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you tomorrow with probably a little bit of a ranty editorial thing that has to do with ping. Stay tuned. Bye.
If you want English voiced scav in the game,
Ну хотя бы, чтобы
type horse. If you don't want it, kvass.